Okay, it's Ken Wilshire here, born again ex-con. I'm here with one of my dear brothers in Christ, Dave Mcdonald, aka Big Mac, aka Mickey D. Was on and Davy Boy. Yeah, that was all the names he used to go by in his former life. But this is a man that definitely needs to be brought to my channel, talking about Jesus Christ and how he loves saving sinners, man. And I just want to, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good,
yeah. Dave's also, he's got some health issues going on, but man, this dude's so tough, man. It's going to take a lot to get him down, but got nothing but respect and love for you, brother. But anyway, let's start out by tell us a little bit about your childhood, man. Where you grew up in Kansas City, right? Tell us a little bit about your childhood, if you would.
I was born in Kansas City, Kansas. For my first years of my life, I had a very normal, loving childhood. My father lost his arm back in 1950 something, 56, I think. He lost one of his arms, and so I grew up with the father that he always was, hoping that he was good enough to, he always felt like people looked at him and looked down at him because of his arm. But he was very smart and very good at jobs he took, and he could build stuff around the house. So I grew up as his little boy, and it was just so cool. I mean, just normal little boy. I didn't do nothing wrong. He whipped my ass.
Okay. Yeah. He's an old military guy, right?
Yeah. He went to war twice. He was in the Second World War and Korean War also.
Wow.
And he was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
But I guess he wasn't an alcoholic until he lost the arm. And it just hurt so bad after that. They didn't know what they know nowadays. And when they tied it back here, they tied it to where he had phantom pains, that he was making a fist all the time.
Man.
And he would just rub that nub. And so he started drinking, and all of us, that one day he was just an alcoholic. And, but he was able to control himself. He was a binge drinker. So when I grew up, everything was like that. And then when I was like in the first grade, we moved to the blind school in Kansas City, Kansas.
Yeah.
And he ran the place. So, bar the arm, he was capable of, he was a boiler technician. He was an engineer.
Right.
And so, everything was cool. I went to the blind school. I was a normal kid. But the school I had to go to was all black.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't think nothing about it. We were just little kids that had fun every day. But
right.
As things back then would go, when you're the only white kid at the school, there was a couple situations.
Learn how to fight?
Things, not yet. Not yet. It wasn't about fighting yet. It was just about, little kids.
Yeah.
And people being mean.
Right.
So, there was some of the kids that would come to school and pick their little brothers and sisters up. That's the ones that you had to watch out for.
Right.
Not the children themselves.
Right.
We didn't know nothing except for, we done everything together and played, and there was no black-white issue.
Right.
But they pulled me out of that school and put me in Catholic school.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything was going good there. I was still a straight-A student. Number one in anything that they ever wanted to do, say the Christmas play. I was a little drummer boy.
Okay.
I was a very smart kid, and I was good.
Right.
Then one day I was sitting there in class, and I looked up at the door, and there was my dad, drunk as hell, talking about, "Come on, boy, we're going to Alabama."
Okay.
And that's when my life changed.
Right. Right. Well, one fun fact about Alabama. My channel is all about ex-cons and prison and people being redeemed by the blood of Jesus Christ. One of the fun facts about, I was involved in prison ministry, and I asked these guys, they go all the way to the joints, all the way through the South. And I said, what's the hardest joint you've been to down there? And I thought it was going to be Florida for sure. They said, oh, no, hands down, man, it was Alabama. Oh, everybody I talk to that goes down there, that's the hardest joints down there, Alabama.
Well, I think part of the reason why is because, or at least the small towns that I lived in, which was Sylacauga, so the police would let people. I mean, if somebody was drunk, they'd follow him home.
Yeah.
You know, small things, fights, disturbances, domestic disturbances and stuff.
Right.
That they would give you a chance. So, but like I think if you was just turned out that you weren't no count, and that's what they'd call it.
Oh, okay.
That guy, he's no count.
Yeah.
So then they lock your ass up and throw away the key.
Right.
And inside the prisons, any time that you have a depraved or impoverished population, then you're going to have a lot of crime or a lot of violence.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So speaking of violence, so then I met Dave when I was 16, and it was really a strange situation. Looking back on it, man, it's just a God thing all the way around. But at 16, Dave was a go-getter, man. I mean, everybody I knew that was running around with at that time, everybody I talked to, oh yeah, that's Dave Mcdonald. Oh yeah, Dave Mcdonald. Yeah, and then, so I got to know him. Well, I didn't even know who you were though until one night up at City Park, and Dave loved to fight, I guess, man. And anyway, you got yourself in a mix with like 4 guys from the military or something like that, wasn't it, Dave?
6.
6 guys. Okay. You weren't happy with 4. You had to have 6.
But I mean, I actually pulled over because my friend in the back seat was all stoned, and the guys whistled at the girls in the car, and he was talking shit to them through the window, and I just pulled over and let him out and said, "Okay, dude,
yeah,
do your thing, And
so you were handling pretty good, man. But when I saw what was going on, it was like 4 guys. I mean, it's hard to fight. It's hard to fight, man. You're getting a boot and a fist everywhere you turn your head, man. If you got 4 guys on you, man. You said 6 guys. I don't remember all the details. All I know is like me and my buddy saw. I don't even know who that was. I was with.
That was Joey Ruth.
Was it Joey Ruth I was with? Okay. So anyway, we were there, and I didn't really have a reputation. Being that badass or anything like that. Well, but I wasn't going to watch somebody get their face kicked in or something like that by several guys. So me and Joey went over there, man. Hey, break it up, get out of here, chased them off. So the next day, who do I see? I'm walking down Central Avenue. Who do I see, man? Old Dave, what was that, a 70?
Mickey D.
Yeah, Mickey D. Was that a 70 or 69?
77, 78.
No.
Maybe.
No, the car is a 70.
69.
69 Chevelle. 69 Chevelle, gold with gold Kragers all the way around, and just a nice car pulled up. And then I seen this guy, man, his head's all swelled up, he's got black eyes, and it was Dave McDonald. I said, he said, get in. So I got in, man, and boy, I got sucked into this vortex, man. I was like, dang.
I was a drug dealer.
Yeah, so he was 16 years old at the time. So I got in. The first thing he says to me was, get in that glove box and roll us up one. So I opened up that glove box, big fat ounce of weed in there, and he was going down to down the bottoms. Is on a Sunday. I'll never forget. It was on a Sunday. You were going down to get some beer. So we rode down there to get some beer, and you befriended me, took me in your circles, and really and all that sort of thing, man. And then I ended up.
It was like a 72-hour straight
party.
With me for
yeah
72 hours
introduced me to some people, and anyway, like you said this morning, man, I had it made, man. I screwed it up, man, because I was strung out on cocaine and everything, and I ended up ripping Dave off and everything. But anyway, that's a different, we'll get to that in a minute. But I was just going to say, so Dave, tell us a little bit about did you know about Jesus ever since you can remember, or how did it happen?
I mean, I went to church. I rode the bus to Sunday school every morning.
Yeah.
But and it was fun, and we sang, and we did the little Jesus things and stuff. But
right.
I didn't understand what was going on. No,
right.
Nobody had ever got down and talked to me.
Right.
I had been talked to.
Yeah.
but nobody had actually sit down and explained what was going on with that. So,
Right.
you know, I just kind of blew it off. I
Right.
was like, it wasn't a big deal, you know. I wasn't for or against anything. I just didn't have it in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once I didn't have to go to church, I
Right.
didn't go to church. And it wasn't because I didn't want to.
Right.
It's because I just moved away from it.
Right, but
as
you,
a child.
but you've always been interested in him, and you know, it says we're saved from the foundation of the world, man, and I believe that we're before we're even born, man, that God already knows what's going to happen, and we belong to Him even before we take our first breath, you know. And but it just plays out differently in everybody's life, you know. Some people don't want anything to do with Him, you know, and so He just, I guess, lets them do their own thing, you know, which is a shame. But go ahead, brother.
Well, you know, it was just once my dad took me to Alabama. Then after a while my mom came down, and then my dad started drinking again, so my mom left and came back to Kansas City, and eventually me and my dad came back, and then from there started a trip that would take me through 28 different schools.
Wow.
And many cities. Either in Alabama was one. We didn't go down there much anymore, but my dad was he built Wolf Creek nuclear plant. He was a millwright foreman, and so he would move to them towns that were around there: Burlington, New Strong, Ottawa, Pomona, Williamsburg. And my dad would always want me to come with him when he was straight.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would always inevitably, he would get drunk and stay drunk because he was a binge drinker.
Right.
And I would end up having to go back to my mom's before my dad would straighten out because I was his crutch. When I was there and he started drinking, there was no way that he would stop with me there to take care of him, protect him.
Mm-hmm.
He taught me how to drive. Totally, by the age of 8, I was able to operate vehicles.
Right.
And was asked to
Right.
several times. But
Oh, you can definitely drive. I see the way.
it was a terrible, you know, it was a weird childhood. I had to learn to be a chameleon.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to fit in. And there was no Jesus or God in my life except for prayers.
Okay.
And no matter how drunk or how bad my father would be on alcohol, we would always sit down on our knees on the side of the bed and pray at night together.
Wow. Wow.
And well, it was a wild childhood. You can imagine that my dad made good money. When I went with him, I was the cock of the walk.
Right.
You know, when I went back to my mom's, it was normal life in a normal house,
Right.
which was totally different.
Right.
We lived in lots of trailers, lots of apartments, and it was a back and forth thing, which
Right.
would be Kansas City to here to Kansas City.
Right.
And to make a long story short, that pretty much screwed me up.
Yeah.
To the point where I just didn't really know right from wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't know right from wrong.
Okay.
I mean, when I do something bad, and I didn't really realize that I was really being evil.
Yeah.
And
So tell me, okay, so then you met, when you were 16, you met Dennis, right?
well, I didn't get stoned. I never tried any drugs till I was in the 8th grade, actually living in Ottawa with my dad.
Okay.
And I tried pot, and it really wasn't no big deal until probably a year later.
Yeah.
I was a true to form marijuana smoker.
Okay.
And that was when I found out that if I bought an ounce of weed, I could sell 3/4 of it and keep the other fourth for myself.
Right.
And that's how I got into selling drugs.
Right.
Just being able to provide myself to smoke.
Right. Right.
And things went on like that, and I might have been very small amounts.
Right.
We were all just normal children. We didn't have no money. But then I met a guy named David Edwards, which we partied with. And when he seen that I was selling little bits of weed and stuff, he said, "Man, I'm going to introduce you to my brother." And he took me and introduced me to a man named Dennis Edwards,
Right.
which was mob affiliated.
Right.
So was his father.
Right.
He was a contact with a lot of people having exotic drugs.
Hardcore Irishman.
Yes.
Yes.
And so that took my game to the next level.
Right.
And then that's when I met Kenny.
Right. And then when we met, like I say, Dave befriended me, man, and then I ended up ripping him off, man, for what was it, Dave, like 40 grand, man, worth of stuff,
Well,
something like that, man. There's a lot.
800 Quaaludes was
Yeah.
the big thing, and then just whatever was in there.
I think it was three ounces of that funk or something like that.
a
and
lot of the a drug that's not around anymore, but it was called P-Funk.
Right.
And it was a copy. It was a designer drug that copied the effects of cannabinol.
Right. And the people that, that he was hooked up with, like I say, that was the Italian mob. So we're talking about some heavy duty players here, man. But anyway, so when I met Dave, he befriended me. I ended up ripping him off, man, for my stupidity. And then, Dave caught up with me, got a severe ass whipping. I'm just really, really grateful he didn't kill me, because I was in a position where he could have done so. And you didn't do it, brother. So I love you and respect you for that. But now God has brought me back into his life, and now I'm in a position. I'm a business owner, and I got a little bit of money coming in, and so I'm in a position where I've been able to begin to pay him back, and we've become pretty good friends. And I'd say real good friends, man.
It's all about Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Because this is the most unlikely friendship or relationship
I know
that
it.
you're going to find.
I know it.
Kenny left out a little bit of it. After I found him and we had the confrontation, we didn't see each other again. We didn't run in the same circles.
Right.
We did run in the same circles when I got put in prison.
Yeah.
And Kenny was already there. He was established. And I walked in that place, and one of the first people I seen when I was going through the process of getting people to look in my ass. And,
that was in R&D or whatever.
Yeah, the receiving. And, getting the crab bath.
Right.
And I'm all standing there naked and stuff. And then here comes this work crew of these guys been out working at the fairground all day, and there's Kenny.
Yeah.
And when we locked eyes, we knew who each other was.
I was a little bit worried, Dave. I'll be honest with you, man. When I first saw you,
I was more than worried, because you run about 35 pounds bigger than me and a couple inches taller.
Yeah,
but you were a very imposing character.
I didn't have the tenacity that you got, though.
Man, Kenny was the kind of guy that what I could see was when people would be at City Park and everybody was doing stuff and cutting up, Kenny was the one that was set back with his beer and just watch things, and he would laugh and stuff, but he was always serious.
Yeah.
He was always serious and always ready for trouble.
Yeah, had to be, man. Kansas City's not a big, huge city or anything like that, especially Kansas City, Kansas, but there's some heavy-duty players around.
All boys fight eventually, always, especially if you throw in drinking and drugs.
Oh yeah.
But we spent a while in that prison. When we would run into each other, it would be nothing but a couple smart-ass remarks, and we never did actually hook up with each other and fight. So it was an intimidating time.
For both of us.
People he hung out with, and I didn't have nobody. I was just a child.
Yeah, you were a couple years younger.
I was 18 at that time. But to make a long story short, it was just like, I was scared to death this son of a gun was going to put a knife in me or something. Yeah. Because I did give him a royal ass whipping.
Yeah,
it was
but I deserved it. Hey, babe, you got to give me my props, man. I didn't beg. I didn't beg.
Borrow or steal.
No. That's right,
and
boy.
I
know how to put it on somebody, boy.
Well, I feel so bad about it, and I always have. And
shoot.
the thing about it is that Kenny came to me one day out of the blue, and he walked up to me and he looked at me and he poured his heart out. And he said, David, he said, I'm sorry for what I did.
I really
he
was.
Said, I am in AA. He said, I know that don't mean a lot, but I'm trying to change my life.
Yeah.
And I want to apologize to you right off the bat for what I had.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I didn't have a whole bunch of, I didn't have really no religion in me then, but I sincerely took that apology and gave it to him.
Yeah.
And I forgave him right
Yeah.
then.
Thank you,
that
Dave.
was before God, but see, God understand, God was still working in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I was in the 3rd grade and I was living in Alabama down there, you know, I asked Jesus to come into my life when I was in the 3rd grade.
Okay.
At the church. I went up front when they did altar call.
Yeah.
And I really was seriously wanted to be saved, and I wanted Jesus to be in my life. But at this time, I still didn't really understand all about it.
Yeah.
I just knew it was right. So I've had God's hand in my life.
Yes.
Although I didn't know it.
Yes.
And I didn't want it. I didn't know I needed it.
Right.
But it was there.
Yeah.
But okay, so you know, I wanted Christ and I accepted him, but I wasn't capable of understanding that there is, you know, a respect for God that you must have.
Yeah.
And you must turn.
Repent.
Even though you're not going to be sin-free.
Right.
But you must turn from your sins.
That's right.
Which means you just got to give it a try. You got to give it a chance.
Yeah.
And it ain't about just going, hello, Jesus, will you save me? And
Right.
just hang on.
Yeah.
And I'll be back with you
Right.
when I'm on my deathbed.
Right.
You know, when I'm on my deathbed, me and you would talk. So,
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't think it works like that.
No, I don't think it does either, brother.
I think you have to.
You got to
change
receive
your life.
him. You have to receive
You have to
him.
make a conscious effort.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right,
You
man.
know, I could sit here and tell you all day about all the money, all the drugs, all the women.
Yeah.
You can imagine it's just like any other thing. Plus, I'm a musician.
Right. Right.
Things were a party.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and then I got put back into prison, and it was for something I didn't do.
Yeah.
And they was wanting me to plead guilty to 11 years for a crime I didn't commit.
Right.
And, well, I wouldn't do it. And luckily, the truth came out in the end, and they wouldn't just let me free, of course. They had to have me plead guilty to a small crime, and it was assault. It was assault and battery.
Yeah.
Assault and battery.
Yeah.
So I had to plead guilty to a little charge, and then they gave me time served.
Okay.
So, but while I was in the county jail, that's when I met God.
Oh, tell me about that, bro. Tell us about that.
Well, I'm sitting there thinking that I'm not going to see my 11-year-old and 13-year-old girls again, possibly 11 years. And I already had a very stretched out relationship with them because I was a drug addict.
Yeah.
And I was a deadbeat father.
Yeah.
But there was the love was there, but I didn't show the love in my actions.
Right.
I met a guy named Ricky Beach that his whole life is about being a chaplain in county jails. And that's all he does. I mean, he has extracurricular activities in the neighborhood that he's from, which is one of the meanest neighborhoods in Kansas City. It's northeast.
Mm-hmm.
It's where all that drug activity is.
Right.
But he has a feed where he feeds anybody that needs to be fed every Thursday.
Oh, I didn't know
rain
about
or
this.
shine.
Yeah.
Either outside barbecuing or inside
Okay.
having chili.
Okay.
But he go into his classes, the little 1-hour classes where they let us out of their cell.
Yeah.
And then I became interested
Right.
in what this Jesus thing.
Right.
And I'm sitting there all bummed out. It's Christmas Eve. I'm in my room, and I think, well, let's do what he said. He said that what you want to do is start with the book John.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, it was 2:30 in the morning, and I was done reading the book of John, crying, begging out for Jesus to come in my life and help me and change me and make a new person out of me and throw the old man far to the west and lead me far to the east. And that changed my life.
Wow.
Now, did it last long? No. You know, when I got out, I tried, but I went back to my ways. I was a crackhead.
Right.
And I was a turbo crackhead, I guess you'd say, because I had...
You had the connections.
I had this right here,
right.
And the schemes are unmentionable.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you're listening to this video that you have paid some taxes because of my thefts around the world, you know, around the place, because I hit every place every day. You know, I had a network of people who would take back items that I would steal, and you know, we would get gift cards, and we would trade them for cigarettes, and then we would take the cigarettes back for money, and this went on for years. I mean, not just that thing, but different things. You know, I met different people that were crackheads, and it became what I called, when I woke up in the morning, it was the quest for crack.
Yeah.
It started early in the morning, and it was all about what I was going to do to get going.
Right. What a heck of a place.
So Jesus took a back seat once more in my life.
Yeah.
But he was never far.
No.
Although I didn't know it.
Yeah.
Although I didn't know it, I pretty much turned my face back again. And, okay, so that always ends me up back in prison. Back in prison, back on PVs, back on another PV, back on another new charge.
You ended up down in Oklahoma too, man. Almost get caught up in something down there.
Well, and yeah, I was on the run from the police in Kansas City, and I moved to Oklahoma. And Oklahoma, at least where I lived, was one of the most terrible places to be in the world. There weren't people laying around on the streets like there are in New York, but grandmas were shooting meth.
Yeah.
Meth, ice was everywhere.
Yeah.
It was everywhere.
Right.
Even the store owners and stuff in this town.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived with one of them. And so...
Yeah, Big Mac would have ended up in Big Mac. You know, it's McAllister's the big joint down there. So you would have ended up...
Well, luckily I was only down there for 17 days in the county jail, waiting to get expedited back to Kansas. But that was a hell of a 17 days.
I'll bet.
I found out what the prisons were like in Oklahoma, Arkansas. Okay. They're very bad.
Pretty ornery.
There's a lot of rape. Them suckers down there
is that
like
right?
booty. That's what I can tell you. They like that booty.
Yeah. So anyway, fast forward a little bit. So lately, tell us about what's been going on with you. Man, Dave's involved. And man, the first thing I noticed when I came back and I met him here, when was it? Over the summer, right?
Yeah.
Through a mutual friend. And, a friend of a friend. But anyway, it was wild the way we met again. And make a long story short, what's really important was I started noticing Dave, he associates himself with the people that nobody else wants anything to do with, you know, like, trying to help these folks that, you know, homeless people and people that are just downtrodden and need somebody to help them. Strung out. And Dave's been doing that. That's part of his ministry. And tell us a little bit about lately and everything, Dave.
Well, when me and Kenny made contact again, so I hadn't seen him until we were in prison, and we crushed everything.
That was like 30 years ago, wasn't it?
We were good. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, my friend is like, Kenny Wilshire's coming over here on his way over, by the way. I didn't know how you would feel about that. And I was like, oh, man, that's cool.
Okay.
I said, me and Kenny got our thing straightened out as far as I'm concerned.
Good.
And it was.
Yeah.
And the big thing about it was I had already got sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
And about 5 years ago,
right,
when I was in Oklahoma, shooting dope and watching Nana shoot dope.
Wow.
82 years old.
Wow.
I had a big change.
Yeah.
Then I went to prison, and I sat in that county jail during COVID.
Yeah.
Because they shut the court system down.
Okay.
So I had 17 months, and I was clean before I went to jail.
Okay.
Which was a big difference.
Right.
And I was alone basically for 23 hours a day.
Okay.
Alone in a room, and listening to Christian radio.
Yeah.
Is basically what got me over the hump and finally got me off of drugs. Now I smoke pot.
Yeah.
That's another story. I'm dying of cancer. I do morphine. I do hydrocodone.
What do you got, brother? Tell us a little bit about your cancer. You got it's blood, isn't it blood cancer or what's
no,
or bone?
I found out 6 months ago that my prostate, all these years I've been having problems, they've never checked it. Well, they finally found that my PSA level was way up.
Okay.
When I got checked, it turned out I had cancer. I also had spots on my bones that needed to be checked. And when they were checked, that it is a metastasis where the cancer metastasized from my prostate and went into my bone.
Okay.
Which is it's uncurable.
Yeah.
So right now, I mean, I'm on borrowed time now.
Yeah.
I don't have the effects yet, except for I have some pain in my back, and the medication that I take that blocks my hormones makes me have sweats.
Well, I'm going to be with you, brother. But more importantly, Jesus is going to be with you the whole time, and you're going to heaven. And you got good friends. Dave's got a lot of friends, man. That's one thing I don't have. You got a lot of friends.
If you can even spell ice, I can't help you.
Oh, you mean?
I can give you a hamburger.
Yeah.
But I can't be around you.
Oh,
I don't want to be around you.
Right, right.
I mean, I haven't really come to the point where I've taken somebody to a treatment center, because the people that I have come by and that I associate with are just old, basically homeless people that have gotten a new chance, and they're trying to find how to live life.
Mm-hmm.
And not be on the streets.
Right.
Which none of them are off dope.
Right.
The ones around me aren't on meth.
Right,
but
right,
they do
right.
all kinds of, they do their other stuff. They
right.
drink, Xanaxes, you know, it's on with them, but you know, they're not doing the meth, and they are meth heads, and that's why I help them.
Right, right. That's right, brother. Well, man, like I said, this channel is all about giving people's testimonies about how Jesus loves saving scumbags, man. He saved me in 1994, man. You talking about a scumbag, man. I mean, someone that would, someone that would befriend somebody and then they rip them off, you know. It's just, that's the kind of person I was. I was the kind of person, I'd steal your wallet and help you look for it. I mean, if that's not a scumbag, I don't know what is, man. But Jesus saved me, man. So if he can save me, he can save Dave Mcdonald. People like other people I've got on the channel, and I'm going to get some other people on here also. It's a testimony of no matter how far down you've gone or what you've done in your life or where you're at today, Jesus loves saving sinners. That's what he came to save, right? Sinners. He didn't come to save the righteous. He come to save sinners.
He come to put love in your heart.
Yes.
Which is the biggest thing that happened to me. It happened to me before I found out I had cancer, which is good.
Yeah.
I came out of jail with love in my heart that I didn't know where it came from. It's I wasn't like that.
Right.
I wasn't just like to be sharing it with everybody I meet.
Right.
Now you're lucky if I look at you if I don't say God bless you.
Yeah.
And it's just the love that's in me for being alive,
right,
and having a future.
Exactly. An eternal future. It's going to be good, brother. So
it is.
Well, it's right at 33 minutes right there, which is a good sign for me. So we'll cut it off from here.
Let's pray.
Okay. Yeah, you go ahead, brother.
Father in heaven, we are asking you this morning to spread the message of love.
Yes.
Which is your message. Your position is love everybody You need to love everybody, and you need to forgive.
Yes.
Lord, help us do that.
Yes.
And help anybody that's listening to this tape.
Yes.
Try this.
Yes.
Give Jesus a chance.
Yes.
If it don't work, go get you a shot.
Yeah. There you go. All right.
Love you guys.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Think that was good?